The early 90s was the titular era for popularizing the FPS genre. id Software was on top of the game defining the genre, but halfway through the decade new advancements brought in improvements in navigation and environment interaction through games like Descent. Duke Nukem 3D's largest addition to gaming wasn't the continued addition of interactive elements, but the injection of the first personality in the genre, if not gaming entirely.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
Duke Nukem is a certified badass with a voice that will go through the ages of one of the most iconic in gaming history. At least that's how I would have sold it if I hadn't have installed the Megaton edition to compare it to the 20th anniversary edition. The original recording of Duke's voice was rough, but that didn't stop him and his pop references from becoming a gaming legend. The gunplay also has more impact than others of the era. There are a large variety of enemies that interact with the player differently. This can range from pig cops drop shooting you to others gargling on their own blood after a well-placed shot. The Megaton edition feels faster in regards to movement, but shots seem less accurate and require more hits to kill. Lighting and graphics in the Anniversary Edition are also improved, making the game much more visible than the Megaton Edition. Although it appears that the Megaton Edition has more content overall, the visual improvements and modern convenience and the fact that it's the only one you can officially purchase on Steam is the reason that the Anniversary Edition is going to be the only thing we're going to be referencing going forward. The aesthetics. I like the cosmetic changes they've made in the Anniversary Edition. The environments and enemies look slick, and the enhanced lighting makes the darker areas way easier to see. The only noticeable downgrade it causes is the more noticeable 2D-ness of dead enemies. It also gets rid of the lower third through default settings, only showing the bare essentials in a slimline function. And while I do prefer the older look, the modern conveniences added in this edition kinda makes it obsolete. The gun sounds and music feels pretty standard for the era, and there isn't anything about them that particularly stands out. However, the redone voice work is solid and captures the epic badassness we expect from Duke, and is an excellent addition to the game. Gameplay. Duke Nukem 3D is smooth as silk in combat. Movements are at a reasonable pace, and guns, for the most part, pack a punch. The pistol can be a pea shooter on most occasions, but so are most pistols and other old boomer shooters. This, however, changes at the first boss fight. My first boss fight even obsoleted the RPG. I tried to constantly be mobile, I tried to constantly be on opposing side of cover, I tried to employ every tool I had found in the level up to that point. But the only thing that seemed to bring down the boss was a pathing bug and far too many shots from the RPG. And this was at a lower difficulty, so I can only imagine how bad it could get the further you go. While I was enjoying combat overall, I often found these segments broken up with backtracking and searching every corner, even looking up walkthroughs to find my way forward. Other times I could find a path that seemed to be a secret or out of the way just to find out it was the right way to go. This padding either feels like unnatural progression or just sheer luck, and it ultimately drags down the game. The first episode alone feels longer than the entirety of Duke Nukem Forever, but not in the good way. Every time I picked up the game, I had fun shooting things for a while, and then quickly got bored trying to find my way forward. The story. Like most early boomer shooters, there isn't much story in this game. Characters don't talk to each other, and the only thing moving the story forward is text. These segments only seem to appear at the end of the episode, which can lead to confusing segments between levels that leave you wondering how Duke got from A to B. There are cutscenes, but these are short and ultimately non-consequential to the overall story. So taking that all into consideration, how well does Duke Nukem do on the A scale? Well, first we have accessibility. Duke Nukem 3D isn't very accessible. While Duke doesn't talk constantly, there isn't even a smidge of subtitles. The difficulty seems to be more forgiving than I was expecting. I played at a lower difficulty, and while I did find it challenging against the typical enemies, I did still find myself low on ammo frequently, but this was easily improved after sequential deaths. The game rewind tool that they implemented here allows you to place yourself in an earlier state after you die, which is an appreciated modern convenience that can help you improve after a failed run. Convenience. While the older versions of Duke Nukem 3D have been erased to make way for its modern iteration, the current version is available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and Steam. Because of the game's age, it's had plenty of time to be optimized and should run well on most systems. The settings options are also fairly extensive and allow you to have a more retro look and feel if you so choose. One of the best additions is the rewind tool I mentioned before. Another is the enhanced level selection that allows you to pick individual levels in the episode rather than having to play through the whole thing to get there. Experience. The gunplay in Duke Nukem 3D is solid. It feels smooth, and there's a wide variety of enemies that have to be approached differently. The worst part is the issues with the bosses I mentioned before, but its biggest flaw is the confusing nature of the levels and its puzzles. These both feel like unnecessary, unrewarding padding that takes you away from the fundamental strengths it has. So in the A scale of don't play, avoid, meh, decent, or must play, where does Duke Nukem 3D, specifically the 20th Anniversary Edition, fall? Avoid. The importance of Duke Nukem as a step towards modern gaming might justify purchasing this game alone. The 20th Anniversary Edition will likely be the most accessible and convenient this game will ever be. The experience, however, has not aged well. I wasn't able to finish the game for this review. I tried to play it all the way, but every time I launched it, I quickly got bored, forcing myself through another half hour before having to switch to something else. I spent large chunks of time reading walkthroughs in order to find how to progress forward. While these features may have been common in old boomer shooters, the Duke Nukem 3D seems needlessly obtuse, but it may appeal to other players. The worst thing and largest contributor to my rating of the 20th Anniversary Edition is the price. $20 for a near half-decade release of a nearly 30-year-old game feels exploitative. For reference, you could buy Wolfenstein 3D, Spear of Destiny, Ultimate Doom, and Doom 2 and still have $2 left over, and that's without any of those games being on sale. Ultimately, Duke Nukem's rise to popularity was on the base of a pop culture referencing personality and the confines of a standard game of the era. The gunplay is good, but it isn't enough of a sell to justify the $20 to anyone other than those interested in its place in history or pure nostalgia. While other iterations of the game might climb up to meh, in my opinion, this version is a firm avoid. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, maybe check out one of the other videos. Like, comment, subscribe. Anyway, I'll see you there. Bye.